Okay, are we live? Ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, and hopefully your favorite Darktide partner. Now, I am back here again, still in my patio chair, to explain to you guys what the new Psyker Tree is like. The skill trees, as you know, have been reworked, so previously, while we had feats and all that kind of stuff, now we've got our own talent tree, and you can reset it freely as much as you like, and much like an RPG, you can just go through it and pick up whatever you want with some limitations. Because if you take certain talents, it will lock out other talents, and it shows you when you hover over what talents will be locked out if you pick one. All right, so if you pick this one, the other side is locked out, and it goes, and so on and on it goes. All right, now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove my cam and go through the entire tree, but the main purpose of this video is to go through most of the nodes, you know, show you what the tree is like, and also show you what the abilities all look like. And then after that, you can go off and create your own builds. All right. So we're going to go from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. All right. And we'll do it for each tier as we go through. And I'll show you what all the abilities look like and the talents that you can pick up along the way. Let's remove my camera now. Ba-da, bing, ba-da, boop. Where's my camera? Oh, there it is. Okay. Phew. I swear I'm an actual video creator. Okay, guys. I know what I'm doing. I swear. Okay. Let's go through this. So the first thing about this talent tree, as you may have noted during the explanation, is that if you want to, you can actually pick all of these at the same time. You can also refund individual points, all right? On PC, it's a right click. I'm not sure what it is on a controller. But basically, as long as you're moving down the tree, downward, you know, you can always pick whatever you want so long as you've got the talent points, okay? So, full build. I have no idea what this says, but it doesn't matter. I wonder, will it show me any other builds? No. Okay, so there's only just this. Anyway, let me go through each of the talents with you. All right, so you start out by picking a passive of your choice, and as I've just demonstrated, you can actually pick more than one. So if you were to take Quietude, which is the passive from the old feat tree, you will replenish 5% toughness for each 10% peril quelled. You can also gain 2.5% toughness for every 10% peril generated. So these two generally are a good starting choice. You can then move down the tree and pick like Perfect Timing, where you'll increase your warp damage for 10 seconds on a critical hit, and it stacks up to 5 times, giving you 15% extra damage. Or you can go for Perilous Combustion, perfect for Brigadis builds, all right, where killing an elite or specialist enemy applies 4 stacks of Soul Blaze to nearby enemies. The best thing is that the right-hand side is mostly Gun Psyker, as you can see by the art. The center is more like a mixed bag of Psyker tricks, and the very left-hand side is the Brigadis / Brain Burst type Psyker. Okay, so as I've said before, as you go through the tree, you'll encounter nodes that are like this. They don't have an icon. However, these are your stat boosting nodes. So if you want to max out toughness, you're going to need to pick this up. Let's take a look at how much your base toughness is. Without any of that, your base toughness is actually at 70. All right, I happen to have 71 because I have a curio that gives me 17% toughness. In fact, my base toughness would probably end up being even lower than that. So yeah, if we were to remove this, let's just put on something that has, say, max stamina instead. Okay, let's have a look at my base toughness now. My base toughness is actually 60 on the Psyker. So yeah, Psykers kind of get gimped a lot in terms of toughness. They are, if I'm not wrong, weaker than before. So do be careful of that. All right, let's put the toughness curio back on. If you want to reach the kind of toughness you had before, which is 100, in general, what I would recommend is go take something like this. Okay, something like this, allowing you to grab both of these toughness nodes together with a good toughness curio will put you roughly back at about 100 toughness, which you had before, you know, the skill tree update. All right. Now, the next thing you'll want to be aware of is the fact that you can only pick one of these abilities. This will be your Blitz ability. Now, without your Blitz ability, right, assuming you're a totally new Psyker, you still have a Brain Burst, but it's relatively weak. This is a Damnation level meat grinder. So your Brain Burst does about 600 damage. It charges fairly quickly, but the peril cost is very high, as you can see. and it's pretty ineffective except in, you know, the lowest difficulty tier. All right, so that is your base brain burst. Now, when you actually get brain rupture, which is your first Blitz ability, you will be more effective against flak and carapace armored enemies, and you will deal 50% more damage. So previously we were dealing 600. Now with our brain rupture, let's see how much we deal. Bing, it's at 957. So the effectiveness doesn't change. Realistically speaking, I'm assuming that it's just telling you that the talent is effective against flak and carapace armored enemies, but you do deal 50% more damage. So now you're at the old level of brain burst. You're at the previous level of brain burst. Okay, and you can get the kinetic resonance, which was previously a level 30 talent, where if you use your combat ability, your brain rupture will charge 75% faster and generate 50% less peril for 10 seconds. You can also get kinetic flare. Now, the best part about this is that these two don't lock out any other choices. They do lock out the other Blitz choices, but you can take both talents at once, giving you the kinetic flare while you're also brain bursting people, which can be really excellent because you get an extra brain burst. Now, if I were to use my combat ability, all right, I will get my fast brain burst, which will just help me pop heads for about 10 seconds, which is great. And it also generates less peril. There you go. Okay, so that's what it's like. Wow, why is the peril sound effect so loud? You know what? Give me lower peril effects. Sorry about that, guys. I have no idea why the sounds have changed that drastically. All right, now the next talent that you have is called Smite. Smite is not the video game by Hi-Res Studios. No, I'm kidding. Smite is basically a lightning ability that replaces what the Surge Staff used to do. If you charge it up, if you have Smite, right, what you will do is that you can choose, all right, to just fire it off like that, and it will spread slowly and deal very little damage, but it will crowd control a fairly decent crowd of enemies. Take note, however, that none of these died, okay? So even the weakest of opponents will unlikely die to Smite. They will all be stunned for as long as you've got peril, but, you know, as you can see, it's not really a killing power. It does knock them down at the end, but it's a crowd control power in general. This is what it does. It can reach fairly far, as you can see, but it doesn't last all that long, so you're going to want to be careful with that. You can charge it up, like so, to make it spread faster, but it doesn't really increase the damage by very much. Alright, and the ability still ends once you reach max peril. The smarter way to use Smite would probably be before you reach max peril, alright, let go of the button. If you do it that way, they will get a knockdown. Take note, if I don't do that, right, and I reach max peril and it stops on its own, take note that the enemies did not get knocked down. But if I were to do it the normal way, even if I did it slowly without any empowering, all right, and I stop before I reach max peril, I won't burst, but I can sort of do this little push, which knocks them all down. This is very useful, all right? I like it. And that is what Smite does. And Smite is, well, aside from being, you know, a game created by Hi-Res. I'm kidding. Aside from that, right, Smite is generally useful for crowd control, but take note that it is short-ranged and doesn't really offer you all that much without a later talent that empowers it quite a bit, okay? I will go through that later. Now let's remove all that. The last power of the Psyker is called Assail. Assail allows you to fire, well, if you have quick shards, it replenishes faster, and it can pierce additional targets. What is Assail? Well, Assail would be the psychic daggers that you've probably seen in videos by other creators that did the playtesting and all that. You have two modes of fire. One is where you can home in on an enemy's head. All right? This is not a charging mechanic. Okay, your peril will in fact drop while you are aiming. All right, this is just to aim at the heads, and it will pierce a few targets, and, you know, that's it. You can also fling them like this, all right, where they will come out real quick. They will still do the same damage, roughly, but the problem is that you can burst very easily, all right? Let me explain this in simpler terms. Let's use the Purgatus as an example. Okay, I'm just gonna use this to charge up my peril. La 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 la. Burning. Okay, let's start out here, right? This happened to me during yesterday's testing. Let's say I keep spamming these shards. Before you know it, your peril is going to be at 100 and you're going to explode. So be very careful when you're spamming your shards. If you're doing it at low peril, each one is about 10%, and it's very easy to get caught up, okay? Make sure to reduce your peril, alright, regularly, and you'll be able to kill hordes of specials with this thing. It's really, really cool, but you take a lot of risks with it. So just be careful like that, alright? There you go. Okay, so that is Assail covered. Now you understand it. Alright, now let's carry on a little bit, alright? We're gonna just carry on going down. Let's just take Smite as our ability. Next, we're going to explain the 3 coherency abilities, all of which are available to you. Okay? Oh, and these nodes are not always just stats like, well, I mean, they are base stats, but they're not always like 15 toughness. No, this one's like peril generation, toughness damage reduction. Choose whichever ones you need. All right, there's quite a variety. There's even toughness replenishment for you and your allies in coherency, which can be very useful. Yeah, some of them don't just benefit you, so do take note of that. Now, the next 3 main abilities are Kinetic Presence, which is what we previously had. 10% extra damage versus elite and specialist enemies for you and your allies, okay? We now have Seer's Presence, which gives you 10% cooldown reduction on abilities for you and your allies in coherency. This one I find is absolutely fantastic because it allows everybody to use their abilities much more often, and you can actually pair it with Psykinetic's Aura, where you will decrease the ability cooldown for you and allies in coherency by 5% on elite or specialist kills. This can be extremely useful if you're running the kind of build where you rely on cooldowns a lot. Okay, the last ability is Prescience, where you and your allies in coherency will gain a 4% critical hit chance. This can be extremely useful for crit builds, so you'll have to weigh up what actually matters the most to you guys. It is only 4%, but this can drastically swing critical builds in the favor of you and your allies. All right, so do think about it seriously. These bonuses may not seem like a lot, but they can help tremendously, especially because Empathetic Evasion allows you to do this thing where a critical hit makes you count as dodging against range attacks for 1 second. If you remember, there are Gunpsyker abilities like Ghost, I think it's just called Ghost straight up. Yeah, this will probably work well with that, okay? Because you will be able to dodge range attacks, be immune to range attacks, all those kind of things. It can be very useful. So do consider it, at least, all right? It's also very useful for Pregatus builds, but because Pregatus is located mostly at the left-hand side of the tree, it might be a bit hard to go down this path. So usually I take Seer's Presence because it really helps a lot, okay? So once you picked your aura, it can be any aura, it doesn't really matter. Pick whatever you want and then grab your range damage boost. No, I'm kidding. You don't have to grab a range damage boost, but it is encouraged, all right? Next, you'll be able to select your Keystone. Well, you'll be able to select your combat ability. I shouldn't say Keystone because this is specifically your combat ability. Each of the combat abilities are different and they allow you different bonuses and benefits. Let's first talk about Venting Shriek. Venting Shriek will allow you to unleash a wave of warp energy. Basically, it's the exact same as Psykinetic's Wrath from before. Okay, it'll quell 50% of your peril, has a base cooldown of 30 seconds, and you can now add a few bits and bobs to it. Venting Shriek will now decrease his peril generation by 1% for each enemy hit, stacking up to 25 times, and lasts for 5 seconds. This is not really very useful to me, but it's needed to unlock the other 2 talents. You can only pick one of these 2, okay? So take care of that. If you were to pick, for example, Warp Rupture, Venting Shriek will deal 100 to 200 damage based off your current peril percentage. Let's take a look at this version first, all right? So if I were to max out my peril, let's see how much it'll do at max peril, yeah? Burn, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Da 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 da, the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Yeah? Okay. Now we're close to max. Yeah, it just does about 200. So it's just a really quick one. Pops them, you know, pushes them back. It's some very immediate damage, all right? The other one is something that you guys are very used to. Remember Ascending Blaze? Okay, now you've got something called Creeping Flames. This will apply 1 to 6 stacks of Soul Blaze to targets hit based on your current peril. So, once again, let's go charge up peril. In fact, you know what? Here's the easier way to do it. Get smitted! Get smitted! Okay, now that's close to max. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Did not mean to do that. Okay. Let's try this again. Whee! Oh, it's pretty far reaching, yeah. And it does some fairly good soul blaze damage, so that's pretty nice overall. I really can't complain too much. So yeah, if you're going down the Pregatus path, it's probably best to get the Creeping Flames, which would have been exactly the same as Ascending Blaze, which you had before. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one, which is Telekine Shield. At base, your Telekine Shield allows you to do this. The barrier appears. You remember Sigma from Overwatch 2? Yeah, that's who you are now. Your Sigma and the barrier will be something like this. Ranged shots will not be able to penetrate through it. It will, in fact, now we did testing on stream, right? And it will, in fact, be able to stop sniper bolts, flamethrowers. It stops everything except for, I can't remember, the Scab Bomber. Because the Scab Bomber, once the bomb explodes, the flames can spread underneath your shield. But I believe the bomb itself will not be able to penetrate. So just take note of that. However, the shield is relatively, you can place it at a distance by holding down the button. Okay, so you can choose where the barrier appears. But what you gotta understand is that the barrier is not that large. Just take a step back and you'll kind of see that, all right? So what can you do with the shield? Well, the shield has two versions. One, Enervating Threshold. This can be very interesting, okay? And the subsequent, now if you take this, you cannot go down the other path, all right? But this one will allow you 2 charges of the shield. So you can place shield down once, and it will also stun specials and things like that. So if you were to use it, specials would get blocked, stunned, things like that. And hordes have a 10% chance to get stunned while passing through. You'd also have 2 charges of this, so you could, you know, bounce back things like muties, pretty much anybody, really. Okay, so that's the Enervating Barrier. But remember that it is relatively small. The other one turns you from Sigma into Winston. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, if you were to, you know, go down this pathway, it basically allows you the ability to, now we're gonna have to wait for this ability to charge, but let's go through it while it charges, all right? If we read through it, what it says is that you will form a spherical shield lasting 20 seconds, and you will also be able to protect your allies inside the shield, replenishing 10% toughness every second. And when your Telekine shield dissipates, all allies that were inside gain 50% toughness damage reduction for 5 seconds after the shield dissipates. This is pretty good because the 50% toughness damage reduction applies to melee as well. This can be a very useful ability because basically, although the shield duration is now at base, it's 15 seconds. When you take the sphere, it's 20 seconds, and then basically you've got a 20-second cooldown. You only have a downtime of roughly, assuming you've taken Seer's Presence, of only 16 seconds, all right? Assuming no triggers of Psykinetics Aura. So this can be very useful for protecting an area, or when you have to do an objective, there are ranged people all around, just dome shield, you know, be the Winston. Remember what Winston says, okay? The best defense is a good barrier, or something like that. All right, so this is basically what you're gonna do. Now, how does it look? Well, you can kind of place it at a distance if you want. It shows you the radius, but if you were to just, say, put it here, zoom, it doesn't stun enemies, but it is a fairly large circle. You can see that. Enemies will not be able to shoot into the circle, stop sniper bolts, everything like that, but just be very aware of the cooldown. You can shoot out, your teammates can shoot out of the shield anytime they want. All right, but once the 20 seconds is up, you will just gain a little buff there that lasts 5 seconds. This is the 50% damage reduction for your toughness. Okay, it's pretty damn good. I effectively count the downtime of this shield to be roughly 14 seconds or less, to be fair, if we take all factors into account. So it's really very good. Spam it freely if you use it. All right. The last one, the last combat ability, okay, is called Scrier's Gaze. Scrier's Gaze is the ability for gun psychers, all right? At base, Scrier's Gaze will allow you to enter the Scrier's Gaze mode, where you gain 10% damage and critical chance. For every second in Scrier's Gaze, you gain plus 1% damage up to a maximum of 30%. This effect lingers for 10 seconds after leaving Scrier's Gaze, so this is designed for gun psychers. It is extremely powerful for gun psychers Do not underestimate this with the Recon Lasgun and Infernus, especially with the buff to Infernus. That is probably what I'm going to see in terms of gun psychers very soon. Of course, last pistol gun psychers would also do really well. And the, what you call it? Not just last pistol gun psychers, the shutter auto pistol gun psychers. I'm genuinely feeling like a lot of this might be really, really good. So if you get sick of playing the staffs, you know, you want to play a veteran, but you don't want to actually be a veteran, take Scrier's Gaze. All right. Now, while you're in Scrier's Gaze, you build up peril. Buildup is temporarily slowed down by enemy kills. The more you kill, the slower the peril buildup. All right. You can also do a few extra things. Weak spot kills will count as spending 1 second in Scrier's Gaze. Now, taking this will lock out Reality Anchor, but let's talk about precognition first. Weak spot kills count as 1 second spent in Scrier's Gaze. For each second spent in Scrier's Gaze, you now gain 1% finesse damage, which lingers for 10 seconds after leaving Scrier's Gaze. Okay. The other one is Scrier's Gaze now also reduces your peril generation by 20% while active. Okay. So you can also choose this one, which doesn't lock out anything else. Scrier's Gaze will now increase your movement speed by 20% while it's active. And last but not least, you can get 20% toughness damage reduction while Scrier's Gaze is active. This is extremely good because basically it's like having a mini volley fire. So you probably won't be able to take like one with the warp or anything. Actually, you will be able to because Scrier's Gaze will just keep ramping up your toughness damage reduction. You can go with something like that. As you generate peril, you can gain toughness back. I would say critical hits replenish 5% toughness would be a good choice, you know, and all of these little factors are going to make you dish out even more damage. Like all of this is pretty damn good. Like these are all fantastic ways that you can regain your toughness and become extremely strong. All right. So there's a lot for you in here that can work really well together with Scrier's Gaze and all that. It just depends on what you need really and how you want to use it well. Okay, so all things considered with all of this, yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm just checking something. Okay, yeah. Now I just wanted to be sure of a little something before I moved on. And before I did anything else, because some of these things are not like the other. Okay, now that you understand Scrier's Gaze, let's have a look at it and see what it's actually like. Okay, I'm actually kind of keen to see this now. Scrier's Gaze. Okay, so this is what Scrier's Gaze will look like. Once you activate it, you're in this mode. This is what Scrier's Gaze will look like. Okay, and your peril is just actively going up, 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 but you won't burst. It'll just end. It'll just end and put you like this. So if you were to use a ranged weapon with this, let me bring out my favorite little Recon Lasgun with this, okay? Because this is the smart thing to do. Let's see how well the Infernus blessing runs. Okay, y'all ready? Now the benefits still exist, by the way. So you can leave these enemies ignited pretty well, even after leaving Scrier's Gaze. There you go. So if you want to play a gun psyker, you know, that is the way to do it. So that is what Scrier's Gaze does. Of course, it will work with staffs, but you are going to hit 100% peril real fast. Okay, so that is pretty much what you've got. Now it's time to move on to the last bit of our explanation, the Keystone trees. What do you guys do here? Well, since we're already on the right-hand side, let's start with the right. The first tree on this side, all right, will give you kinetic deflection, where, again, this is because I'm pretty sure it's designed for the gun psychers. When you're below critical peril, blocking an attack will cause you to gain peril instead of losing stamina. Okay, gained peril is 25% of the blocked attack stamina cost. You can use this with deflector to deflect bullets, as per normal. Okay, you can gain movement speed in this tree. True aim will basically where if you land 5 weak spot hits, it guarantees that your next range attack is a critical. This can be extremely useful on the recon, last gun, shredder, auto pistol. You know, the beat goes on, da-dum-da-dum-da-da. You can also use it with the last pistol to an extent if you want to really go for those weak spot hits. Okay. You can also get an extra toughness boost here, which is also available in the other trees, by the way. There's 15 toughness here. So then the last bit is called Disrupt Destiny. This is your Keystone passive. Those of you who play Diablo 4 will probably understand that terminology. Disrupt Destiny makes it so that every second, enemies within 25 meters of you have a chance of being marked. Killing a marked enemy replenishes 10% toughness, grants you 20% movement speed for 2.5 seconds, and adds a precision bonus for 15 seconds. Each precision bonus grants you 1% damage, 2% critical damage, and 2.5% weak spot damage. Precision bonuses stack 15 times. Again, this is extremely useful with things like the Shredder Auto Pistol, okay? Or the last pistol, you know, up to you, how you want to infernus your enemies, okay? It's your choice. But yes, kill the marked enemies and you will get stronger. You can increase the duration of Disrupt Destiny to up to 30 seconds, making your stacking a lot easier, all right? And 15% bonus damage is nothing to sneeze at, all right? Or you can have the maximum precision bonus stacks go from 15 to 30. If you think that you can kill a lot within the duration, then go for perfectionism. If you don't want it to last longer. I don't know what would be the play for you guys, but I would probably try out Lingering Influence with the Gunpsyker and see how it goes from there. And then if not, I will go for perfectionism when I do my Gunpsyker build eventually. You can also take Purloined Providence, where killing enemies marked by Disrupt Destiny will have a 20% chance of instantly quelling 15% of your peril, which will allow you to stack Scrier's Gaze for longer, giving you longer benefits, things like that. You know, the beat goes on, da-dum-da-dum-da-da-da. Okay, I don't have to say that again. All right, this is what you can do. Now, the other thing is that because this acts kind of like volley fire, some people might prefer the reduced peril generation. That is absolutely a perfect choice if you want to go down that path. You might still want to take some peril resistance if you can later down in the tree, but it would be up to you what you want to do with this exactly. All right. It just doesn't suit as well with the Brain Rupture, because if you go down the Brain Rupture path, the Brain Rupture path is more suitable for somebody that actively uses a combat ability rather than a sustained one, because while you're in Scrier's Gaze, you would probably not want to be brain bursting, because then Scrier's Gaze will end. So just be aware of that. You probably want Assail instead, but Assail itself can also increase your peril, so just be careful of that. Okay? All right. Then the last bit is that weak spot kills grant 2 additional stacks of Disrupt Destiny. All right? So if you happen to kill it via weak spot, instead of getting just 1 stack, you get 2. So this is it for this particular keystone. Now let's look at the central keystone. All right, so we're just gonna reset the whole tree for now, and we'll just do a little bit of dummy movement. All right. Okay, let's come to the center of the tree. The center keystone is called Warp Rider. All right. It will allow you to deal up to 20% damage from all sources based on your current peril. This is for me at least, this is the tree that works best with the Void Strike staff, and it is designed to give you that absolutely insane damage. If you want to see this in action, let me just swap to a Void Strike staff right now, just as an example, okay? And oops, why did that not save? What? Okay, doing it again. We doing it again. There, toughness boost, and unlike the others, right, there's no additional stat node. You just get straight into it, but you can still actually, funnily enough, you can actually just pick up these others, by the way. Just because you're limited to 1 keystone node, these keystone nodes lock out the other keystone nodes, not the additional stuff here. So if you had spare points, right, and you wanted more toughness, you could actually go this way, something like that, and grab this, just so you know, right? Okay, just so you know. Now, if you were to take, now for Warp Rider, the keystone passive is called Empowered Psionics. Kills have a 7.5% chance to empower your next Blitz. When your Blitz is empowered, right, they will have additional effect. So Brain Rupture will have no peril cost, will have a shorter cast time, and 50% more damage. Smite will have 30% extra damage, 25% faster spread between enemies, and for the Empowered Assail, it will be free, and the base damage will be increased from 100 to 150, and it will not consume any charges, allowing you to fling even more of those daggers out if you want to go down the Empowered Psionics pathway. Now, there is a bug with Smite, and I'll show you that bug in a moment. But basically, when you have Empowered Psionics and you kill and you get the stacks, all right, you can guarantee stacks on elite kills, which is my preferred choice. It will lock out the other one, where it will increase the chance to gain Empowered Psionics from kills from 7.5% to 12.5%. However, I highly recommend overpowering souls instead, because killing those elites will get you those Empowered Psionics guaranteed. All right, and then you can hold up to 3 stacks of Empowered Psionics, plus you still have the 7.5% chance of getting it anyway. All right. Psychic Leeching will be where if you use your Blitz while Empowered Psionics is active, it will replenish 15% toughness to you and your allies in coherency. This is not only a damage tree, but it's also a damage support tree, which is what I really like about this. This for me is one of the best damage support trees. And if you want to, right, I highly recommend going Peril Generation and getting these extra points. All right, assuming that you've built a tree something like this. If you were to grab all this, not only would you have extra toughness and toughness damage reduction, but faster quell speed, larger radius for your coherency aura. You get a lot of good stuff from this, and I'm not gonna lie on that. You are pretty much in very good shape. And the reduced peril generation is very good for spamming your attacks even more. All right, but it's up to you what you want to do and how you want to structure all this. You might choose to go for more damage instead. It's genuinely up to you, like I said, how you want to play this. All right. So you don't always have to go for the extra toughness. If you want to forsake it, you know, there are other options you can choose, like Mind in Motion, things like that. I'm still working out a build for this, but let me show you what Empowered Psionics looks like. Okay, Empowered Psionics works very, very well. Here it is with a Void Strike Staff. Now, first we're gonna need to get it running, right? So let's use. Okay, yeah, I forgot that I can insta-give these guys now. The Void Strike Staff underwent a major power-up, so please do not sleep on this. Take note that Empowered Psionics specialist kills do not grant it, only elite kills, so just be very well aware of that, yeah? Okay, I mentioned that Smite has a bug with Empowered Psionics. When it comes to Smite with Empowered Psionics, if you were to charge it up, right, take note that it no longer generates peril, which is a bug. This is most likely going to be patched, okay? But yes, you will basically become the Lightning Lord forever. This is not intended. This is very, very unintended. And if you happen to kill an elite during that time, you will replenish your Empowered Psionic charge, allowing you to do it all over again. Okay, so just be very well aware that while it increases spread, speed, and of course the damage and all that kind of healthy and happy stuff, this is not intended. This is not the way it's supposed to be. The best thing is, though, that this can stun anything except for a boss. So, yeah, this is one of the bugs that exists that shouldn't exist right now. The other potential things that you can do with this is that if you were to use Empowered Psionics with the others, like I said, they give you boosted abilities. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate Empowered Psionics with the others because I think you get the gist of this. All right, instead, we're going to go cover the very last tree, which is, you can pretty much see it's designed for the Brigada staff, okay? It's called the, well, Puppet Master, but Warp Siphon Tree is the Keystone passive that you want to look at. Warp Siphon says that when you kill an elite or specialist enemy, it will give you a warp charge for 25 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. This is what is suggesting that you use Venting Shriek together with Brain Rupture to start popping heads real quickly, all right? When you have 4 stacks of your warp charges, your next combat ability will spend all warp charges and reduce the cooldown of that combat ability by 7.5% per warp charge. This reduces the overall cooldown by 30% at full charge. But the warp charges aren't the be-all and end-all. You can grab Essence Harvest here, which will give you 30% toughness replenishment when you gain a warp charge, or you can go for less Inner Tranquility, where the more warp charges you have, the lower your peril generation. Again, up to you on this one. All right. But because you spend all your warp charges with this, I would not go with Inner Tranquility. I'd rather take Essence Harvest, because every time I gain a warp charge, I'm just regenerating that toughness continuously. The next thing is Empyrean Empowerment, where all base damage is increased by 4% per warp charge. Okay, so you can go down that tree. And next, you can choose either one of these. In Fire Reborn is the other half of Ascendant Blaze, which you had before, where if you kill an enemy with Soul Blaze, it has a 10% chance to grant you a warp charge. Or you can go with Psychic Vampire, which we had before as well, and whenever you or an ally in Coherency kills an enemy, you've got a 4% chance to gain a warp charge. I would actually recommend Psychic Vampire because it can help you in hordes where the Zealot is going ham. You know, you might just gain some extra warp charges, allowing you to use your Venting Shriek as and when needed, and then you can brain burst the key targets really, really quickly. Last but not least, get Warp Battery, because Warp Battery allows you to store 6 warp charges, giving you 24% increased base damage. And the best part is that if you go down this tree, right, grab this and grab this. Nope. Wait, do I need both? I don't, do I? Huh? Hang on, I'm confused. Something is very wrong here. Oh, this will take 2 points. Oh, to get this node, I would need both of these. Ah, shame. So I'd have to restructure this tree a little bit if I really wanted to grab that. Oh, no, wait. It was just lagging. Okay, so I have it now. I'm very confused. So yeah, you can just, I would recommend if you're going down this tree, right, just take this node and grab Warp Rider. Okay? It'll give you the 20% bonus damage from all sources based on card and peril. And you want that because that'll up your brain burst. You add to that perfect timing and you are in a perfect situation to absolutely annihilate your foes. Don't sleep on this style of play. It will break stuff. All right. I'm looking forward to testing out a Pregatus build with all these awesome factors in it, you know, because I just see that there is a lot of potential here. But anyway, this is basically it. All right. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little explanation of all the keystones, the talent trees, and everything. I'm very excited to see what kind of builds you guys come up with, and also the kind of builds that we come up with on stream. I'll be playing Darktide then. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little walkthrough of the Psyker talent tree, explaining all of their talents and abilities, the keystones, the combat abilities, the blitz abilities. All of this is crucial to creating the best possible Psyker build you have. All right, so I hope that this discussion helped you guys out, helped you understand how things work. All right, I look forward to the Psyker builds that you guys are going to come up with. If you guys want to see me do this video for the other classes as well, just leave a comment and I will happily do it for you guys. I will happily test things out for you guys. All right, thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, for the realest Darktide channel in history. All right. Thank you very much. All right. And last but not least, let me thank all of our channel members that make videos like this possible. If you want to support our channel and help to see more content on this channel, consider picking up a membership, for which there are various benefits. And of course, you get a shout out if you're a high enough tier at the end of every video, like we're doing right now. So starting right at the top, we've got Big Chungus at the only fan level. We've got Death Dawning 982 at Plus Ultra, one of our longest members. Jerry Fast, Rogue Assassin, Zach MG at Prestige. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our honored robots as well. Corey Ryu, Bob John, Cube, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Chase Taylor, Nathan Strong, Nightshade, Lady Neo, Joey Danze, Syed Assad, Coda CMF, Kami SMH, Conrad C, and Benjamin Savage. Thank you guys so much for everything you guys do for me. Thank you to all of our cool and weird bots as well. And don't forget, if you come on stream and you send some love, our October list for top supporters is open. All right. Catch you guys in the game. Have fun with this. I'ma see you burning stuff in damnation. All right. See you soon.